We are back. We are back. What a time to be alive. We're going to sit around and we're going to discuss guys that did stuff in their underwear in an NFL stadium. I think it's, I like watching it, but I don't know what it really matters to when it comes to different things. So we'll talk about the NFL Combine. We'll talk about the Indiana Bears potentially, Jerry's home city, maybe losing the identity of the team. George Papa Bear House probably going to turn in his grave if that were to happen. And then we'll break down some college basketball and get into that as it is March now, guys.
It's official.
Yeah, it is.
It is officially March, but we will start with a question that I was asked by someone that's really not that heavily big time into sports, weird sports, European sports, when it comes to certain things. But I was asked today why women's basketball does not have shorter or lowered rims.
Mm.
Oh, my Lord.
That's what I was asked.
I've been a big fan of that idea for a long time. I'm like, I don't know how exactly it works, but I think in like men volleyball and women's volleyball, the net is not at the same height for both.
Really?
That is true. That is true.
I think that's true.
To like most levels. I know for high school that's the case. I don't know about college, but I'm pretty sure at college that the net is different in volleyball, height wise. It's probably like an inch, not even. It's a slight difference, but one that's notable.
Well, and I think it would help with because the fact of the matter is you could probably count on one hand the amount of women that have dunked in a game.
Yeah, like two?
Brittany Griner
and Lisa Leslie.
And what about there was the Candace
right? Parker?
Candace Parker? Did she dunk? I think she dunked, right?
I know Lisa Leslie dunked.
So the basketball is so revolved around the idea of not only like great shots, great handles, but dunking and dunking on people. And I think it would just help with the popularity of, the women's version of the sport.
Well, that's what this person asked me. And this person right here is, of course, Dave.
Irish Dave.
Yeah. He asked, he was like, because he watched the Notre Dame game, like right before the show started here. And he said it was a great game, but he goes, it was missing dunking. Which, I agree. Dunks are like, you look for the excitement of a fast break or, coming down the lane, a dunk. The Notre Dame game, or not the Michigan State game I watched, like Cohen Carr got a lob on some guy and dunked on him. Like the excitement of that's cool. And it shows off the athleticism. I think that's the other thing.
Yeah. Well,
like Vince Carter,
also,
we only think about dunks.
Think of the best NBA plays you've ever seen, and then think about how many of those was someone getting absolutely posterized. Like one of the best plays, the Heat against, them dunking, just absolutely destroying Jason Terry, just basically lobbing it back and forth. And then that poor man was just stuck underneath the rim and he got yammed on by LeBron. Or DeAndre Jordan absolutely destroying Brandon Knight. Like those are my favorite plays. Obviously Steph Curry, all the clutch shots, those are great too. But my favorite plays are, Blake Griffin just throwing the ball into the basket. Those are some of my favorite plays. The women's sport, I think, is a more pure form of the game. They have to focus on other things besides just being an absolute athletic freak. But yeah, I think you don't have, I don't know, like 6 inches. Break it down like 6 inches.
I think 8 foot.
Here's my argument.
This makes the game kind of crazy.
8 foot. Could you imagine 9 foot?
Dude, some of the girls, they can reach their hand up and grab 8 feet.
Dude, are you trying to make this like have you guys ever seen the videos where people play in like 6 foot rim leagues, like 8 foot leagues, and then like all three of us are doing windmills?
The greatest thing of all.
It would be awesome.
I think the hard part about this is if you move the rims down, you make the game way less accessible for women in general. Sure, when we get to the college basketball world and you get to all these, sure, it's easy to move a rim. When you go to the local park where they have the concrete or the metal bear, metal going through and one backboard and the rim, you can't move that 6 inches down or 6 inches up for every other game, right?
Yeah.
So I get it. There's I don't want to even say lack of athleticism, but you don't get the electrifying dunks. But kind of to Trevor's point, in return, it forces the game to be more pure. And it doesn't mean that athleticism doesn't exist. It just, you don't have LeBron James and Andre Iguodala. You don't have those moments, right, of like a guy going for a dunk and a block from behind. But it would make the game, I think, I don't say worse, but like you're now putting the spot, like you have to think about the sport of basketball specifically too. And like the larger goals of these bigger leagues, right? Like the WNBA and the NBA. Jesus Christ. Irish Dave, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're here. We have missed just good jokes in this group, in this chat. So thank you so much. But like, it's going to be tough if you make it, let's say it's a 9'4" rim, right? But then all these people are practicing on 10-foot rims. Well, now that technicality of the game is gone. That 6 inches matters, right? So I think it's the hard part of like, oh yeah, you could get more dunks if you move the rim down, but you're making the game harder for everybody else to get into or efficiently practice if you're not in a controlled environment. And it keeps everything standard also because now you have all these years of women playing on 10-foot hoops. So it's kind of a moot point in my mind because it kind of feels like a weird caveat. They're just different games. I think it's the same for men and women's volleyball. As someone who has played college volleyball, the difference between the men and women's game, the women's game is way more technically sound. Where in the men's game, you just have guys who can overpower. And that's fine. You can argue the same with basketball and like women's basketball and women's volleyball. Some of the people I learned best from in women's volleyball were women teaching me how to pass better, to set better, etc., because that matters that much more. So, like, sure, you're not going to get a windmill in a WNBA game. The Notre Dame women are not throwing it off the backboard and doing a poster. Sure, but there's still so many great moments and great players from these things. And I think they have to they play the game differently. That's fine. And if everyone has to adjust and do the same thing, that's cool. I don't think the game misses that much because you don't get highlight reel dunks. Instead, you still get your ankle breakers. You still get crazy shots. You get crazy layups, right? Like, all those things exist. We're just not seeing people touch the rim. Maybe you don't have Cohen Carr, but you still have Hannah Hidalgo, who still does a lot of great things in different ways. So I think it'd make the game way less accessible, especially if you're not someone who can be in a space that lives in a gym, that they can move the rims anytime, any moment, everything like that. So sure, it's great for maybe short TV propositions and value. It's not great for the sport long term. So sure, cool, maybe, no.
Well, it's just, I mean, they got rid of dunking, I want to say back in the late 70s, early 80s in college basketball because Lou Alcindor, that's all he did was dunk. So there was a couple years where they did ban dunking. I've been watching it's a very good documentary about the ABA on Prime Video, and Dr. J is obviously the most famous guy who played in the ABA. And when he was in college, he was not allowed to dunk. So nobody understood like what he could actually do because there was no dunking. So yeah, I mean, the women's game, it makes it more old school, to Jerry's point. It's more fundamental. You look at it and you say, okay, it's played differently. I mean, do I think it hurts viewership? Probably sometimes when it comes to women's basketball. I mean, some people they're just not going to watch it because it's women's basketball. That's just how some people are in this world. But yeah, I mean, it is an interesting thing, and I know it's talked about all the time. I know all the women do not want it to happen because they want to be able to prove that they can do the exact same thing as the men, to Jerry's point, where it's just like, why are you going to make an exception for us? And it would, yeah, I mean, doing it, you don't really think about it, but yeah, you did literally have to change the rims all the time for like men's and women's practices.
Well, think about like even at like our local high school, like those rims aren't moving, dude. Like they're stuck right where they're at. And so like it would, I agree with Jerry that it would be, pointless to even play if, you're used to playing on 10 feet, you play all your high school, then you go to college and say maybe they can change it in college, which, most smaller colleges probably can't.
Yeah.
And then you go to the WNBA and it's just like my whole life I have been shooting on 10 feet. And it is a huge difference. I had a rim out in my driveway. I'd put that sucker down to 9 feet every now and then. And then when you're shooting on it, you get used to that height difference. And then you go to shoot on a 10-foot and you're like, oh, this is way different.
Yeah.
And even 9.6 to 10-foot is a huge difference. So yeah, it would be hard, but maybe they could do like a slam dunk contest bring that sucker down to 9 feet for the WNBA.
WNBA to be canceled. You're just like, do not hire Trevor for marketing for your athletic organization. That just sounds like a way to get in trouble. It's like, oh yeah, we lowered the rims for All-Star Weekend.
Yeah, dude, and we got people honey dipping and stuff. It'd be sick.
That'd be, oh my Lord, we're gonna get ourselves in trouble. But,
hey, that's why. Look, Caitlin Clark proved that the 3-ball can make it just as fun to watch. I mean,
that's true.
And that's the most popular sport's ever been. Think about that. Too, right? Like when the sport had its popularity boom, it wasn't because of we had a lady who was dunking the ball more. Like that's not been the case. I know we've had jokes about Brittany Griner in this group. Brittany Griner was dunking the ball, didn't care. The ratings didn't shoot up, right? Like Candace Parker dunked the ball, ratings didn't shoot up, right? Like you've had those moments. It hasn't been a spark plug either. I know it might seem like it has been, but anytime, if this is so rare that it's happened, you would think, oh my God, this is something that makes it worth it. That has not been the case either. Good basketball is good basketball. And honestly, like that Iowa team and Caitlin Clark moving all the way through, watching a generational athlete got more eyeballs for the WNBA than somebody who could dunk, right? Like, I don't think that's been the casualty of the sport is, oh my God, this lacks dunking the basketball. It's you don't have great storylines. In the last couple of years, especially in the college world, the storylines have been awesome. Kim Mulkey is a great villain. Dawn Staley is building dynasties in South Carolina. You had Caitlin Clark come through, right? And that was just all in a couple of years span. Those are going to get you better ratings and more attention to the sport than hoping that you can now see a windmill every once in a while, because it hasn't done it yet. And if you've had these rare off cases of people who dunk in the WNBA, and it's not like they've become the super duper star that everybody remembers, and they've had that same skyrocketing to popularity. So it's why change it now and make the sport way harder for people to get into, especially basketball itself, the sport worldwide that is trying to grow. Sports, especially basketball, is trying to become more like soccer than it is like American football. American football cares about getting viewers right now. It's making the offense, it's making rule changes to, make offense easier, have tackles. Everything's a roughing the passer now, right? Yeah. Everything's a pass interference, so you can have 45 to 38 games. Basketball is more like, we want to be in Spain. We want to be in France. We want to have great Olympic matchups, all this weird stuff. Is it working? No. But why change the sport that they're trying to make worldwide and make a difference in the rim that's going to take so much of that progress away? That's not going to make sense for the sport, even if you get a couple more highlights on ESPN.
You know what I always thought was weird? And this is a little bit off topic. But they have a men and women's division for chess.
Wait, really? It goes like that. Chess goes that.
There's two separate divisions.
Level of like how good.
Right. Yeah, but there'll be like just straight up women tournaments and men tournaments, which has never made sense to me.
It's ridiculous.
But I always thought that was interesting. A lot of people, I'm on some chess groups on Facebook, and they're always asking that question. Never found a great answer to that.
What's your level? What's your chess level at? Like what?
Not good. Not good at all. Like 1100, which is like a little over average.
I've never played chess. I view myself as a checkers man, and I'm pretty good at that game.
I don't even. Someone got me checkers for Christmas, and they're like, "Well, you like chess," and I was like, "This isn't. This isn't the
same thing." All the cool people play checkers.
I don't even know. I don't know if I know how checkers works.
I zig while everybody else zags. I'll set you up. I'll set you up for like a 4 jumper, and then I have like kings, and it's over. I mean, that's just what I do.
Oh my God.
We got to get you an actual chess if you're thinking this much about checkers. That's kind of a little point. Someone doesn't even play chess.
I haven't played checkers in years, but I guarantee I could beat some kid right now. All right, let's get to some comments before we get to the underwear Olympics. John says they need victory insoles. What is that supposed to help you dunk?
It's like a thing that helps with vertical a little bit. I think they're banned in the NBA. I don't remember.
Oh, so they're banned. Oh, hey, could be a possibility. Just saying. Jonathan saying Griner doesn't count. I don't know why she wouldn't count. He said yes, Candace Parker dunked. And then Irish Dave says, bro, chugging.
That stopped me mid-thought.
I
mean, I respect it. I used to drink a gallon of water a day. It's
I've been a little under the weather recently, and I have a giant 1 gallon actual water bottle. It's made an appearance on this podcast a couple times.
Yeah, you always hide it for some reason. It's like, don't be ashamed.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm like, But dude, it's just a real hassle to fill up every single time I want it. So I purchased a gallon of water from Harding's today. So what happened to me? I guess we'll go into this.
Yeah, we can do this.
I apparently, I did not know this, have some food sensitivities. Now, Caleb, this may come to a shock to you
Yeah,
because
really?
you have seen me eat food, and I'm like a human garbage disposal.
Pretty much.
But apparently, I'm not allowed to do that anymore.
You're
I
getting
have
old.
been, I was in severe pain from eating a zuppa toscano. Do you guys know what that is? You get the soup you get at Olive Garden.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Just
and
say
the
the soup you get at Olive Garden next time.
yes, yeah, sorry. And the amount I ate it 2 nights in a row. My girlfriend made it, my lovely girlfriend, and the amount of garlic in it
Oh, jeez.
severely upset my stomach.
No.
To the point where I woke up at 4 in the morning, the day before I had to go to or the night I had to go to work, the morning I guess, and could not go to work Friday. I went to work. I said I have to leave right now. My stomach is in severe pain, and I just laid around. I took 4 baths because heat is something that's supposed to help. And so I basically just been soup almost killed me.
So you have so it was like your body's just reacting. It wasn't food poisoning. It was just your body.
No, I think I have like some form of like something similar, or I do have IBS.
This has gone so far away from where
I think I do have IBS. ChatGPT. I haven't gone to the doctor yet.
WebMD,
ChatGPT.
of course.
No,
Google
so you can't go to Web. No, WebMD would have convinced me I was dying. ChatGPT will be like, "Hey, dude, this is what I think is happening."
So I think you just had food poisoning. And you're over here giving yourself IBS.
I think I might have IBS. Because I wasn't the only person that ate it. That's why I'm kind of moving away from the food poisoning thing, because everyone else. My girlfriend did talk about some stomach pain afterwards, but she's also like 7 months pregnant, so that kind of comes with the territory. But yeah, I have to watch what I eat sometimes now, which sucks because I love just gorging on stuff, dude. I love just evaporating food.
I need to know something. So you're talking about how you have all this pain and stuff, especially post eating a lot of garlic. Did that pain start when you saw the sun? This is very vampire-esque, I gotta say. Like immediately, it's being like, I hate garlic right now out of nowhere.
That's
like
a good point.
Your teeth get a little, like, sharper. Like you got a taste for blood over there. Like,
I didn't think about that.
This guy, he doesn't have IBS. He's a vampire.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's the first thing I thought. Is you go, oh my god, I ate garlic and felt terrible, and then you went outside and you're like, oh my god, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Like the curtains are always closed behind you. Like if you open that curtain right now, are you gonna have problems? Like
no, it's dark out.
It's dark out.
We're good. We're good.
The podcast at this time, we can't do
The heat also helps, the heat. It's like a chain.
Yeah. Well, also, I haven't left my house in like 3 days, so that's also a good point.
You're not a brand, man.
Yeah, dude. ChatGPT told you have IBS, but you're a vampire. That's just a fact.
Dude, but also, so I've had literally just eat like bananas, toast,
disgusting.
Like stuff like that. And on my TikTok, because I was just on the couch dying, so I was scrolling TikTok, and I have gotten the most insane food TikToks on my feed. Just mukbangs. You guys are familiar with mukbangs?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude! This dude was eating like African food or like Nigerian food, which I've had before. It's delicious. And he had like the fufu with like the oxtail and the agouti, and he was evaporating that stuff. And then I saw one of my favorite foods in the world, chicken tikka masala, Indian food. I needed that so bad when I was sick, but it would have killed me. Like I actually would have died if I would have eaten that.
Throwing it in your face.
They're really tempting you. That is God sending you a message right now. That's crazy.
Yeah.
The TikTok algorithm, also known as God.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's true.
So we figured out a lot of things. Trevor has IBS.
Yeah.
Thanks, ChatGPT.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Doctors across the world are screaming at you right now. Like, please, do not trust a robot.
So my girlfriend has a really good doctor who like is good at like figuring out what like food allergies you might have. So I'm gonna go see her, but for the time being, ChatGPT has been my doctor for about 3 days.
It's a cheaper alternative. I mean,
That's what I said. They kept saying, like, you need to make an appointment. I'm like, I think I have IBS. I'll save $80.
I've already having a conversation right now with somebody. Like, that's just what it is. Well, that's it's a very interesting story. Now that we've understood that you can't eat food like you used to be able to, that sucks. I think it's age, and that you're going to be a father here soon.
I think I immediately got hit with the dad stuff.
Yeah, at a ripening age of 26.
Dude's gonna be waking up just coughing. We're gonna get real guys.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, dude. I actually did that. I'm not even lying. Because I woke up today and my sinuses were a little like messed up, and I had a dad cough. I had a dad cough first thing this morning, and my girlfriend looked over at me.
To pee in the middle of the night yet?
Sometimes see, this is what happened. It wasn't pee. It wasn't number one. It was number two. This is what happened. And I was at my girlfriend's house, and her sister and mom get ready for work at like 4:15 in the morning. So, and it was like 4 a.m. and they have one bathroom, dude, and I am blowing it up. And I'm like, I got to get out of here, man. Like, they're going to come and get ready for work, and they're going to be like, oh my God. Dude, I'm having an exorcism on this toilet, dude. It was one of those number twos where you're like making deals with God. You're like, I'll stop being so, like I've taken my socks off for some reason. That was an issue I was having. I took all my clothes off. I'm just sitting there. Oh, my girlfriend is in the chat right now, dude.
So wait, you're telling me while like Israel and the U.S. are bombing Iran,
bombing his toilet,
dude. I'm yeah, dude. My beehole was the B-12 or B-2 or whatever bomber, and the toilet was Tehran, and I was just laying bombs, dude.
I like thinking of Trevor is like, when there's a running thing where around the Pentagon, if they're going to stay late and like there's a concern like war, like the pizza sales go really high. If you guys ever heard that, I like Trevor's digestive system is like a war, like like telling us that war is coming. He's like, I got really bad reactions. I woke up at 4 a.m. and I was just absolutely going to it. Then like 30 minutes later, you get the note like, America's bombed X country. Like, depending on Trevor's stomach is how we're feeling peace in the world. So
No, that is like totally true, because this happened to me before, and it was the first time America bombed Iran.
Wow, so your IBS just is
it's completely synced up with us starting World War III. So I'll text you guys next time when it's like 3 a.m. and I'm like, boys,
breaking news.
That draft is about to start.
Dude, you got irritable bomb syndrome, not bowel syndrome. That's crazy.
Wow.
Your stomach being aligned with the administration in office right now is just a subplot I never thought I'd see.
Yeah.
I mean, you work for the government. I mean,
I do.
Those pizza chains getting extra business. Trevor's maybe overtime.
Maybe it's all a way for me to be like a draft dodger.
Maybe
because when war does happen, I'm going to be like, I'm sorry, guys, I can't. Caleb and Jerry, you guys go take care of them.
Oh my God.
At what age do you age out? What is it, 28 or is it 26?
We got to be getting pretty close. We're getting old, dude.
I think it's like 26.
Yeah,
I had a kid. I had him in class. He was like terrified of the draft, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, dude. You're the perfect age."
No, they take kids 18 to 25, so we're good.
Oh, we're good. We're out of that.
I got like 4 more months, boys.
You better know some stuff.
Yeah, 26th birthday is when it cuts off.
Trevor, I need you to keep it together.
I'm trying, bro. Dude, I ate toast and bananas today, brother. I'm doing it for us.
Next like 5-6 months. All right, I need it simple, plain. I will help support this diet and make you
I will say the funniest or like the craziest thing I think is like where you like realize you're getting older is when I turned 18 and I got the letter that was like, please sign this and return it back to the government of the United States of America. I'm like,
bro, when I turned 18, I got jury duty.
Oh yeah.
And my dad was like, just throw that in the trash. So I did. And then as soon as I did that, a Marine recruiter showed up at my front door. All like the day I turned 18 years old.
They just know. I didn't have that, but they just know. I got the letter. I got the letter that was like, please send this back to the U.S. government with your signature on it. I'm like, no. Look, I'm one of those guys. I know I hated on Canada last week. You'd find me in that country very fast.
Caleb, man, you can't post. You posted this stuff already. It's too late, man.
Yeah,
I'll go somewhere, but I'm not going. No, you're not going to catch me fighting.
No, we're going to Ireland. Folks who love Americans, Irish folks. I was out there like 2 years ago, and we were like, "Yeah, we're from America," and they loved it.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, you need to draft. You need to dodge draft. You're going to Ireland.
Oh, dude, I'd love that.
That's fact. I think I actually have a pretty good in there, so I think I'm pretty good, actually.
You're welcome. See, don't worry. I've already thought about this, especially with Trevor's ball is not working recently.
Yeah,
you gotta have that ready. You know,
I think I'm pretty good there. All right, Nolan says got to make it through April. That's when he turns 26, so he's getting excited. So
I cannot believe the fate of like world peace depends on Trevor's stuff. Nuts.
That's not good, bro. Recently, that is not good.
Somehow that's the weirdest headline we've had this week. Somehow, like that.
Oh my gosh, man!
And that he's self-diagnosed IBS.
Yeah, that's how I roll, dude. Because I can't. I hate going to the doctor. Well, I need to go to a different doctor. Anyways, we'll continue.
I will say this before we get to the underwear Olympics. My favorite part of the story is when you're like, yeah, I couldn't go to work, but I went to work and then told them I couldn't go to work.
Dude. So as soon as I walked into work, I went straight to the bathroom. And in the morning we have like a breakfast time. So like the 7th and 8th graders are in there just eating breakfast. And I left the bathroom in so much pain still in my stomach. And then as soon as I walked to the bathroom, I had 5 kids immediately annoy me. And annoyed while being in that much pain, I went straight to our principal and I was like, hey, look, I'm trying. I don't think I can make it through this. Like the amount of annoying to pain threshold that kind of like adds up onto one another, I gotta leave, dude. And I don't take a lot of sick days, so they're very understanding.
I know your principal mad as hell watching you on this podcast, laugh and giggle after your Friday. You had to call out.
We had a staff party Saturday, and I was talking about going this whole time, and I was like, there's no shot I can go to that, dude.
You missed out the company pizza. That's tough.
I did. We went bowling.
I think you can go bowling anytime. You didn't miss much.
Here, you ready for a transition? This will get us to the underwear Olympics. Thank God Trevor was not there this weekend. It'd been really bad, Trevor, if you had your problems right now and you were dressed the same way these guys were.
Yeah,
down just in Indy, not too far away.
Yeah.
It's a good thing they were wearing black, though. You would have maybe met.
I would have to wear brown.
I know you could see that through anything.
We're going brown. We have to go brown.
That's where our dash that left a trail.
That white line has got a. It's like if you did the gauntlet drill for the wide receivers, you'd be able to see if you swayed or not.
Well, I felt like Paul Pierce when he was like had the worst injury of his life, but all he was doing is pooping his pants at that time. That video actually showed up on my TikTok. I scrolled on TikTok for like 12 hours, and that video showed up. And it's like shout out to the time Paul Pierce pooped his pants during a game.
Dude, it knows. It's crazy.
I felt for him 100%. I was like, dude, I would have done the exact same thing.
Wheelchaired back in. I mean, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
And then he comes out like sprinting out, and I was like, dude, he just took the best dump of his life, bro.
That's one of my favorite memories is at a Notre Dame game, and I was on the Notre Dame sideline, and one of the backup quarterbacks at the time, I think it might have been Brandon Wimbush, like jogged to the locker room during the game, and the guy just yells, "Backup quarterback shit, yeah!" We were just like, we all know what you're going to do back there. It was during the game. He just like went back there, and then he
probably got IBS, bro. You can't that when nature calls, brother.
Hey, Trevor's found a new respect for. I'm
gonna start a charity, bro.
Dude had one bad food experience. He's just now just supporting IBS full force. Like
absolutely, bro. It was terrible.
And then and it'd be even funnier if it turned out you didn't have it after you went to the doctor.
Yeah, I probably just have something weird going on. Maybe I shouldn't eat so. My girlfriend loves garlic, dude. So this stuff was loaded 2 nights in a row, loaded with garlic, bro.
It's a bad day. It's a bad day.
It was delicious though. Shout out to my girlfriend.
It only puts you through pain, but you're fine now.
Yeah, I'm good now. I'm on the other side.
All right, we move on now to guys who were running around in their underwear and t-shirts and making everybody freak out about it. When you think about the context of the combine and you actually think about it, it is a very weird thought process of how this happens. But yeah, so we had the combine, which is, of course, where people freak out or people fall in love with guys. These 5 guys here, I think people fell in love with, and I labeled them as the underwear freaks. um, because of what they were able to do. The first guy starting there, Sonny Styles, linebacker from Ohio State. He's 6'5", 244 pounds. To put this into context, he ran a 4.6 40, jumped 43 and a half inches, and had a broad jump of 11.2. That is pretty crazy for his size.
It's insane.
This kind of reminds me of Isaiah Simmons when Isaiah Simmons was coming out from Clemson, and it was like, oh, this guy's pretty good. Like, we don't know. And then he worked out the combine. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, we have to draft. The Cardinals drafted him 4th. It didn't work out. So for Sonny Styles, maybe it will work out. His brother, Lorenzo Styles, who was a cornerback from Ohio State, he ran a 4.28 40 as well. So the family had some genes. Now, I will say, Lorenzo started at Notre Dame as a wide receiver. Never once did I see 4.28 speed. So I don't know what he did, but it worked out pretty good. The next guy moving down the list, Kenyon Sadiq. This guy's a tight end, 6'3", 241 pounds. He ran a 4.39 40, breaking the tight end record that was set by Vernon Davis. He jumped also 43 and a half vertical and had a broad jump of 11.1. Just I had a friend of mine who's a Ravens fan text me and goes, oh my God, we need a tight end. I'm like, this guy's going to go so much higher than what he probably should.
Real quick.
Yeah.
I know we have a lot to talk about, but I did just get this notification. Colorado quarterback Dominic Ponder has died at the age of 23.
Huh. That is very sad to hear.
Yeah, it's relatively breaking. So I wanted to Coach Sanders has tweeted about it, and thoughts and prayers with our Colorado fans and family involved with that team. Very sad. 23 years old. It's very sad, but I just wanted to bring that up. I know we have a lot to talk about, but wanted to make note of it.
Quickly, I have what Deion Sanders said. Deion Sanders said he was loved, respected, and a born leader. Let's pray for all that knew him and had the opportunity to be in his presence. Lord, you're receiving a good one. So that was from Deion Sanders. Says, there's no information about the cause of death, but it has come out of nowhere. Kind of happened. Dominic Ponder, 23, Colorado quarterback. He's been with the program the last 2 years. And it does say that Colorado is set to open up spring practice Monday. So we'll wait to see if that is delayed because of this. But yeah, that is very sad news coming out of University of Colorado at Boulder.
And Caleb, before you get back, I think, we talk about and we joke about the combine, right? And this will kind of get us back into it. But like these 5 guys we're looking at and other guys we're going to talk about, they're living the dreams that someone like Ponder is going for. Right. And so it's like, that's what I think is so crazy about all this and kind of these moments is like we're talking about guys' draft stocks. And it's how I'm going to be like, oh my God, none of this matters. But like, it's just how crazy these things move and shake. We're talking about people who go from the 2nd to the 3rd round, where you have a guy here who is hoping to be in this, in Indy right now, maybe not this year, but next year, or have that opportunity. And it's where it makes these things kind of come into context that much more. And like, it's fun to talk about the people who raises their stock in this like that. This is people living the dream again in that moment. So it's, prayers are obviously out to folks in Colorado. It's the Ponders family. There's still a lot we'll learn about this. And, it's a tough thing to do. Colorado has enough problems, concerns going on, especially like Deion Sanders' health and stuff like this. But these are the kids living dreams. And it's kind of crazy that, as we finish up a moment where a bunch of these kids and now adults, our age around here, are trying their best to impress scouts. This is someone they probably, I would say, all knew, right? But that's in a very similar situation. And it makes this moment, in one sense, feel really small, but really important too. Because like it's a process in living out a dream. It's a process in playing the sport that these guys have spent their whole life doing. So again, thoughts and prayers out. We'll go back to talking about how people have risen and dropped their stock from this. but it's a very subtle reminder of the context of how small and trivial something like the combine can feel, but also where it plays in this process of people living out what they want to do. That being said, while we were going through that tight end, where are we going next, friend?
Well, yeah, it was very well said too, Jerry. And I'll also say, I mean, for these guys mostly on this list, probably the first four, it's like, okay, like to go to the combine is just another day for them. But for a lot of the guys there, it is a chance to show what they can do to a lot of people that may not watch their tape or may not know who they are. So it is for some people, it does mean a whole lot to be able to get invited there and to show off. So the guy there in the middle, Arvell Reese, this guy played linebacker at Ohio State. Bunch of teams want him to play edge. They think he can play edge. 6'4", 241 pounds. He also ran a 4.4 640. That was the only workout he did for the most part. He just said, hey, look, I'm going to run the 40. I think he did some on-field stuff. His one on-field drill that he did, I think it was edited, but it was like an L drill. It was nuts coming around the corner. David Bailey, who is viewed as some people as the top edge from Texas Tech. He's 6'4", 251 pounds. Arm length. Here we go, guys. Now this is the new hand size this year. Arm length. How long are your arms? His arms were 33 inches and 3/4. All right, that's a big deal. Those are some long arms. Okay.
Yeah.
So don't let anybody fool you that size doesn't matter. It does when it comes to arm length. He ran a 4.5 40-yard dash, and he had a 35-inch vert and a 10.9 broad jump. So arm size, guys. Hey, arm size. It matters now. And then the quarterback on here the question was brought up and he shut it down very quickly, was if he wanted or if he would move to wide receiver. He said, no, I'm a quarterback. So it'd be Talon Green, quarterback from Arkansas. He's 6'6", 227 pounds. He ran a 4.36 40, which is the fastest quarterback 40 since I think 2003, I think it was. He had a 43.5 vertical jump, and he had a broad jump of 11.2.
Jeez.
As someone who's watched Talon Green the last couple of years, especially play those Missouri Tigers, he is – I don't know what he'll do in the pros. I think that's one of the things I want to get out here first. But, man, he was one of the best athletes I've seen in the SEC in general. And I think it gets overplayed because he's not a bad QB either. This is one of the weird things about the combine, right, is this guy puts up great numbers, right, in terms of how high he could jump, how fast he could run, stuff like this. The kid could play. And this Arkansas team was not that good. There was pieces there. He was one of them. And he was kind of a guy in like a sinking ship. And this is where the combine can be very actually beneficial, is that Talon Green torched teams. He played really well. And it wasn't just that he could move and run and all that thing and the things you want to make into like a receiver. He could sling the rock. Does that mean he's going to be a guaranteed starter or that he's moved himself into the first round? Probably not. But, like, he's probably the oddity out of this group where I feel like these are just guys that, especially that impress in the combine. It's really funny. We're talking about guys from Ohio State and Texas Tech, two fantastic teams with loaded rosters, right? It's just kind of like Bailey was arguably the best guy in that defense for Texas Tech. He just wasn't in the Heisman race, right? He wasn't Rodriguez who got the Heisman love. I'd argue Bailey was better. That defensive line was fantastic. But it's just kind of one of those moments where people get to step away from, especially for a lot of these guys who are raising their stock, these really good teams. To remind folks, like, they're part of a really good team. So you may not have been watching directly, but they have the tools here. Should that guarantee them now like 3 rounds of jump? Probably not. But, hey, we're talking about the NFL in February. That's kind of the goal here, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, without doubt. And they did say with Talon Green that with lack of quarterback prospects, this may be with these measurables, maybe somebody's like, oh, we may take a chance on him earlier than what we would have just based off of his athletic ability and what he was able to do. So yeah, I mean, it's just always interesting to see, these guys come in here and you think, all right, they're pretty good. And, Sonny Styles, I think was the big one, because it was like, he's 6'5", 244 pounds. How can he be able to do what he does? This is the type of stuff where you don't know if it, translates to the NFL, but it is very interesting to look at it, because there are teams there that watch these 5 guys perform and fell in love, and their future of GM, your future of your job status is based off of your ability to figure out fully if the measurements are all you care about, or if it's on field, a little in between, or what it is. So I don't know. I thought those 5 guys were very interesting, and everybody kept just talking about them as, just like, whoa, especially when, Mendoza didn't work out and do anything at the combine. It gave, Taylor Green a chance to be like, all right, this guy, could maybe, move up from maybe a 7th rounder undrafted guy to maybe a 4th or 5th round pick. So no, it's just it's always fun to look back on the underwear freaks of the week. Now we move on to 2 guys where I call these guys not great combine measurements, but watch their tape. This is what I'd call this segment here. Ruben Bain, the edge from Miami, arm length. Guy hated on. This guy is 6'2", 263 pounds. He had 30-inch arms and 7/8 inches, guys. This is his career's over. He might as well retire now, never go to the NFL. Whoever made the meme of him with the T-Rex arms is the
30.
Is that guy's hilarious. I will say that. No, I mean, that was the talk of the combine was arm size, arm length. Can somebody look up Von Miller's size?
Yep.
Because I feel like Von Miller was very short as well coming out. I don't know what his arms were. I mean, his arms were probably 35 inches or something. But yeah, that was the big talk. Was Ruben
33 and a half.
Those were his arms.
Yep.
Wow, he was shorter though, I think. But yeah, I mean, it's just an interesting thing. But I watched Ruben Bain in the playoff, and I watched him play Notre Dame first game of the year, and dominated. Had an interception also in that game. And then I watched him in the playoff, and I'm like, this is the best guy in the field, no matter what team I watched.
It's like, I feel like we're just doing this thing. It's so funny because the guys before us, when you recruit in college football and you have like the athlete section and, they kind of tell you what position the guy could be, but you could do it wherever. It's like those 5 guys, not all of them, right? They have like that athlete vibe where these guys are like, yeah, you're going to keep him in that position. The thing about the combine that is so weird nowadays too, and we talked about a little bit with Fernando Mendoza, is it depends on what you're getting, right? Like some of these guys wait until a pro day where everything's super friendly and everything's like that. So where the combine might hurt more than it'll help. Will it really hurt these guys that much? I don't know. A lot of the things that happen here, like the TV stuff is cool. I don't think there's a lot of determination made off of that. It's the people getting pulled for interviews, talking stuff like that. It's GMs making moves and everything like this and that. I think the best way someone described the NFL combine is like spring break for the NFL. Like, a bunch of people in Indianapolis, which reminds me that Indianapolis was made for the combine, literally designed this way for this type of event. But like, yeah, if Ruben Bain drops 8 spots because he's a little shorter, that only means a little bit of money. Like, and then we're talking relative terms. This is life-changing money for like us, but like if he falls into a better position, that might be a blessing in disguise. But it's so hard to take stuff away from this week. I also did not watch like any of it because a lot of it I feel like doesn't matter really. At least unless you're a real, this is where draft sickos like have their moment. This is where you find out guys who are moving up, like the Taylor Greens of the world. A guy who might have been like a 7th or 8th round who might move to like the 6th or 5th round. But like talent's talent, but this is a hard game to do. I just hope the Bears don't screw it up. That's kind of my only thought when it comes to the combine is please don't screw it up. Please.
Well, yeah, the thing with Ruben Bain though is like if you pass on him, that's your fault because this kid is like generational to me. Like when you look at like his motor and everything he's able to do, he disrupts games. Like he's one of those guys you watch the film, the combine, I'm not worried about, 30-inch arms. I mean, that's just nitpicking there in my opinion. Now moving on to the guy to his right there. Carnell Tate, wide receiver from Ohio State, 6'2", 192 pounds. This, the next guy coming out of wide receiver U. He's beast, dominant, played really well, was all over the field, made great catches. Was able to, looks like deceive people with his speed. He plays faster than what his speed is. I always love that. Well, he plays faster on film. He ran a 4.53 40. Oh my gosh, people freaked out. Everybody was gasping, shocking. He fell. I don't even know if he's a first rounder anymore.
I unironically have a question of not just Carnell Tate, but anybody until at least next year, what the Ohio State receiver room looks like with Jeremiah Smith in there. Like, what's the cast around Ohio State is actually more of my question than from this. Like, do I think of Carnell Tate any different? No, but I'm very curious to see how Carnell Tate's career plays out, because Jeremiah Smith is not just the number one receiver in that room. He's arguably the number one receiver in the country. I don't really think it's an argument, but if you want to do it, feel free, right? But that makes it interesting, because Carnell Tate had a lot of great stats and a lot of great numbers, but he was getting number 2 treatment every week. And sure, they played great teams. They did those things. I'm not taking away from Ohio State season, but I do find it very curious, because it's one of the few times you have just a true NFL-ready prospect that's sitting in the same place for years, and then you have other guys around him who are benefiting from it numbers-wise. Are they that legit? Is Carnell Tate that guy? Is he going to be in this long list of Ohio State receivers? I don't know. I'm a little concerned. I wouldn't put him like in the Olave world here, but like, is he going to be in that lineage or near it? Or is he just going to be kind of because he's got a lot of favorable treatment defensively, knowing that you have, again, the guy who might argue for number 1 picks next year at wide receiver in Jeremiah Smith.
Well, the other thing, too, I think that hurts Carnell Tate, too, is Marvin Harrison Jr.'s performance since coming to the NFL. And that's out of, like, Carnell Tate's control, but I think it kind of maybe hurts a little bit. The Ohio State wide receiver, every single one that comes in dominates.
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I mean,
I don't know if that does it that much. I wouldn't. No,
but it just doesn't. It's just, this is how these guys think, and this is where people get fired. And it's like, why could you never think that? But it's like, to sit here and be like, and now you got Adam Schefter coming out being, this is such an agent tweet I've ever seen, being like, oh, many people, the scouts timed him at 4.4 for his speed. I don't need this. To me, 40 time doesn't always matter. I look at Kyle Hamilton. Kyle Hamilton fell to 14th in the draft years ago. Kyle Hamilton is top 10 defensive player in the league and was top 5, should have been in that draft. But because he ran a 4.5 instead of a 4.4. Kyle Hamilton's 6'5", playing safety. I mean, Carnell Tate, he gets open, he makes catches, makes big plays. He had the dagger against Michigan, or one of the daggers against Michigan when it mattered. So it's just like this is what these guys do. They sit around and they nitpick and they pick away things. And things are also said by teams that are behind them, teams that are in front of them, so that it's like, oh, should we draft him? We're overthinking it, so he can fall a little bit. I mean, this is just how this whole thing works.
Well, go ahead, Trevor. Sorry.
Oh, I was gonna kind of jump to something else. So if you want to finish this conversation,
I'll try and make this quick. Look at Kyle Hamilton. Yeah, he fell a little bit. Look where he went and how that worked, right? Sometimes I think it's just like, in return, we could talk about prospect value, but also we have to talk about the fact that, and as a Bears fan, we know this all too well, right? Like, if you're in the top of the draft every year, at a certain point, it's not the guy's prospect values that's your problem. It's the fact that you cannot figure out these positions. You cannot draft well, or you have not been drafting well, right? The Ravens were in that situation. Look at the Ravens now, right? Look where the Ravens have been the last couple of years with Kyle Hamilton and this and that. So in some degree, it's like, sure, his stock could drop, but also if the stock drops and he goes to a certain place where he's good, maybe that's also an indicator on the other teams that passed up that that's an evaluation problem. There's a reason you're there. I'm not saying this knowing that next year the Bears could be sitting at the top 10 again. I understand how this league works, right? But that's also part of this problem, is that it's hard to maintain a fair thought of stock and how these guys perform relative to their draft position, because you have organizations that miss constantly. Some are, this year's a little weird. We have a lot of teams that are really good or have been historically good at drafting higher end, but you still have some of the same culprits. The Raiders are back here. Cleveland's still up there, right? There are some folks that are still making their way to the top of the draft board every year. And so is that Carnell Tate's fault that if he gets passed on at the 8th pick, just for, argument's sake, and he goes to 16th and instead balls out with the 16th team?
Yeah.
That's also kind of part of the problem with this, not just the combine, but kind of how we have to think about stock in that matter.
Well, and I think too, the combine, first off, this year's combine, I felt like a record was being set every time somebody did something. I think of Mike Washington Jr., who had the, very heartfelt moment after running a 4.33. Yeah. You see him in tears. Kind of moment where you said earlier, Jerry, is that this can really change people's lives, how they perform at the combine. But also, too, I think it's an archaic way of viewing how someone is going to be as a football player. I think the number one factor on if you should draft someone should be their college tape. I think if you look at Carnell Tate and, again, he played alongside Jeremiah Smith, which, the best receiver in the country. But the things, if you think because he runs a 4.5 that he will not have success in the league, I just don't think you're being honest and you're putting too much value into the combine because you want people to watch it. Zechariah Branch was another guy who had a great combine. But a lot of this stuff, I truly don't think it actually matters. If you go back and watch these guys play, I think that's what matters. Maybe Zechariah Branch isn't the fastest vertical runner, but his ability to get open and make plays is undeniable. He might not be all world when he comes into the NFL, but is he going to be a solid NFL receiver? I'd put a lot of money on that. And I think, like the bench press. Oh my God, dude. You know how many freaking guys that can pull up off the freaking street that can hit 15 reps at 225, but if you ask them to perform in an NFL game, would just completely fall flat. I mean, obviously there's other things that involve. I think this is sometimes more a track and field, competition. Who was really good at track? And, the long jump, the vertical, okay. I mean, it's
that punter
fun.
that had like 20 plus reps or whatever that I saw on Instagram. That is cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
Probably didn't help his draft stock. To your point, you're very right, but that was cool. Like his whole job's his legs, but he was pumping iron. Cool. That was fun.
It's almost like looking at like gladiators and being like, this is entertainment, physical violence, and then it's like this is entertainment. The combine, I think, is mostly entertainment.
Well, no,
the Coliseum.
It's fun to watch these guys. Exactly. We all watch these guys, and if you run 0.2 seconds slower, then you're a bust, and everything that you've done up to this point doesn't matter anymore.
Well, that's the thing this was the NFL viewed it as look, because the most important part of the combine is the stuff we can't see, right? It's the meetings and getting, teams getting to actually meet these players, the meetings that they have, or, them, meeting with other teams and talking over trades and, who's going to be a free agent, all that type of stuff. That's the most important part. But like the NFL does so well, it's like, hey, look, how do we make money off this? How do we get eyeballs to this? Oh, that's right.
No journalism fight this year. That was not fun. No journalist got into an altercation at the Starbucks.
Yeah, that is true.
It very much did not help my interest in this year. But,
did you see that Fernando said that one of the NFL GMs said that he should get arrested? And I think what he was saying is that if Fernando gets arrested, he will drop farther down, and then so they could draft him. But I think someone asked Fernando, what was one of the craziest things you heard, this weekend? And he said one of the GMs said I should get arrested.
What's the guy's name from Ole Miss that dropped that year because they got the video of him in the ball?
Oh, Laramie Tunsil?
Yeah, that's what wasn't he a Raider at some point too?
No, Laramie Tunsil's
there's Dolphins, right?
Dolphins, Texans, and Commanders.
I mean, dude, I know the NFL is a fraternity and a brotherhood. You want your stuff, you want to drop real quick, just call Laramie. Granted, that's part of one of the craziest stories I've ever heard, just in general about Ole Miss, but it's Ole Miss, so
Yeah, 5-time All-Pro, by the way.
Yeah. No, he fell. He fell to 13th, and he was probably viewed as the best offensive tackle in that draft.
Yeah, Caleb, you nailed it. You named all Dolphins, Texans, Commanders.
Drafted 13th overall.
Yep, 2016.
No, so Carnell Tate's point is the GM of the Bills was on NFL Network while he's running. He's like, I wouldn't take that guy top 5. Jace could joke and he'd be like, let him fall to 26.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. This is just.
Isn't that the same GM we got Keon Coleman before we?
Yeah, it's the same
receiver evaluation right now.
Yeah, exactly. And the same guy that hired Joe Brady and told Keon Coleman that, hey, now since I'm your head coach and not that I've been your offensive coordinator, it's going to be different for you. Make that make sense. They got a lot going on over there. But no, it's a TV show. It's a way to talk about it. Well, and sometimes these guys are so good, some of these prospects, that you have to find something to nitpick on.
Yeah.
Ruben Bain is an exceptional talent, but he's got 30-inch arms. Not
right. I think too, like I was saying, when I was I didn't sit there and watch, but I was kind of keeping up with the combine, and it just felt like every other guy, had like a top 5 time, and I think that what we're seeing is that athletes that are being prepared to go to the NFL are focusing so hard on these specific events leading up to, because they know that there's some sort of stock being, like Mike Washington Jr. bursting into tears after having a phenomenal 40 time is not a coincidence. He put a lot of stock into running a very fast 40 time because he knew it would help him. And like, I think these athletes are just going to get better and better and better at these events. I think this is one of the, just watching the highlights. This is like that dude, that Oregon tight end. What in the world, bro? Like, he's like a superhero. It was insane. But I think that there's just going to be such an emphasis on getting good at these events because they know that for some reason there's stock put into this. But like I said in my earlier point, watch their tape. That'll tell you everything you need to know.
Well, that's the thing too. So, Ohio State's pro day is probably like within the next month. That's all Carnell Tate's gonna be doing is running the 40-yard
right
to get it down to 4.4, and then he's gonna get it down to 4.4, and everybody's like, "Oh, he's back! He's back! We should draft him again." The guy, is exceptional. But yeah, I mean, like I said, there's some drills you watch. Like the one guy that stood out to me before we get to the last guy we'll talk about, but the one guy that stood out to me wide receiver wise, Jacoby Lane from USC. He caught everything that was in, and I don't know where he's ranked or whatever. I think he's like maybe third, fourth round guy, but just watching him like go through that gauntlet drill or like there was a deep ball and the way he adjusted and was able to catch it. It's like, that type of stuff to me is more important because
I agree.
It's like, oh my gosh, like dude, like look how smooth he looked. Like he caught everything. It made it look so easy. So
I think those in-game almost drills tell you much more. Like with the edge rushers, when they do like that agility drill, I think that tells you so much more than what their 40 time is or what their vertical jump for a defensive end. Who cares? I mean, obviously you want to swat the ball, but the dude's 6'5" anyway. Like he's going to get up there. So, anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
It's very much like golf, drive for show, putt for the dough. You know what I mean? 40 yards driving, can you actually putt and make the moments? All right, now moving on to the guy. Now, this is actually a serious question now. It's actually kind of been brought up. I mean, I've known about this now for 3 years. No big deal. But Jeremiah Love, what he was able to do at the combine, I think it was one of those where everybody was just like, all right, his tape looks really good. And now you like watch him run. You're like, oh, my gosh. He's 6 foot, 212 pounds, ran a 4.36 40. That was faster than Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, and Christian McCaffrey. He went through all the drills. It looked super smooth. Footwork looked really good. Now the question is, could he possibly be, I'd say in common last 20 years, the best running back prospect we've ever seen?
I mean, the thing that's so funny to me about Jeremiah Love is that he both looks like a running back and also doesn't. I think the last guys you really named, like a Bijan and a Saquon, really give me like the true like super running back because they're both really bulky, especially like on the shoulders and stuff like that. Which Jeremiah Love, it's not like he's weak,
right?
But like those guys are insane. They have insane quads. Jeremiah Love has all those things, but he's also kind of skinny, right? So it's like. But if we're getting into that type of nitpick where he doesn't look hard, but you can give me all the reasons.
Not thick enough. There it is. He's not thick enough.
Basically, is what it feels like, right? Like you think about a way, but like this just might be Jeremiah Love is everything he's supposed to be. I could see him being a new era of running back in the NFL. And I think that would be very interesting. Which is, I don't think of him as a bruiser. I don't even think of him as an every down back, right? Now, one of the big concerns, and to some degree was a little overblown, injury problems, right? Like this is a guy that has all the athletic gifts you could ever want from a running back, but is not as durable. That's the concern, right? He's not as bulky or big, but he's just as fast, right? He's almost like, he gives me like what you could give the best version of James Cook to be, right? That same type of build athletically, where he's just more skinny, but very fast, dominant, but he's not as strong physically, doesn't have that look. And again, I say all this knowing that this guy is not weak. I'm not acting like this is a guy that gets the ball punched out every other play or is getting one hit. He could break hits, all these things. But he gives me that energy of like he could be the best version of a James Cook. And I don't say that lightly. This is the guy who led the league in rushing. It's not like a nitpick or a downgrade. But if he is that good, you might see other running backs look this way. The same way Saquon birthed Bijan Robinson, right? That same idea of these guys are a little bit more bulky, bigger, and those boys are fast. I don't want to act like they're slow, but they're maybe not even as fast as like a Jeremiah Love, right? And so you're almost, in my mind, you're watching like the slight shift to match what the NFL wants, or what becomes hot. It's the same way the edge rushers became a certain degree, or the couple years ago, the blindside guy, et cetera, right? Like every couple years you see a position really flourish or change to meet the demands of the NFL. But in the meantime, the team that's dominating in that aspect is taking advantage of that, right? So it's having different defensive players that now make the Chiefs offense look different and deep and stuff like that. It is Jeremiah Love. I can see him being a prime example of a guy who shifts the game in a different way, because that's what the NFL is going to want. If he turns out to be everything he's hyped up to be, again, I worry if he's not on the field that often, not because he's, like I said, an everyday down back, but because it's an ankle problem or this or that. Do you have a talent that's so good but not there all the time? That's kind of the big question. But he has everything else, and he could do that thing, which is, I think, one of the rarest and hardest things to do.
Well, I think
that's awesome. Just move on. We're done.
Well, I would just say the other thing with him too, I think is different than some guys that came out, is the usage rate too. Some of it was, not being on the field, but also, his first year he didn't play, he was behind Audric Esme, and then, he shared carries with Darian Price, so he could be, fresher when you look at it coming into the draft. But no, it's just an interesting thing, because now you have some teams that may, I think most people have him going 8 or 9, and now it's like, could he creep up now to the top 5? So be very, very, very interesting. All right, now moving on to the team that anytime
that's what we're hoping for.
Well, they draft well, but anytime something good happens, they always have to screw it up somehow other way, And I will say, Ryan Poles was on the Rich Eisen show during the combine, and because he was asked about this. Rich Eisen was like, "How many texts do you get asking people, or people asking you like, don't move the Bears or involved with the Bears?" He goes, "I have nothing to do with that." He goes, "I just fixed the team." So that's kind of where he's at with it too. But, so the Bears may be moving to Indiana, may not be, nobody knows. Indiana Governor Mike Braun this week signed a deal that created framework for the Bears to build a state-of-the-art stadium in Northwest Indiana. It's looking like it will be in Hammond by a lake. That's the view of it as potential site. It's currently where they're at. Look at how beautiful it is where they're currently at. Just beautiful. City on the water. Just, it's beautiful. Now that is, made Illinois now started to fight to get the Bears back. So there's been ongoing communication between Illinois and the Bears for the Bears to build at the Arlington Heights property, which they bought years ago, demolished. Talks have started to, get going, but nobody knows if legislation will be done just based off of Illinois, where they're at kind of in the sessions and everything. Some people think mid to late March before anything would be done. So it's just very interesting that the Bears could be moving out of Chicago, where they've been for over 100 years, to Hammond, which is actually funny that the site in Hammond is actually closer to the city of Chicago than the Arlington Heights property is. But Jerry, I'm going to turn to you, as you are a Chicago man.
God.
Can you kind of explain people Hammond and like how close it really is to Chicago?
So in return, you usually take the Sky Bridge. So if you're heading down, this is kind of south, and then you go towards Indiana, you take the Sky Bridge. There's also ways to go through that are not the Sky Bridge. Sky Bridge is super expensive. But basically, as soon as you cross the Illinois side, you do the Illinois toll, you'll hit an Indiana toll, and you're basically in Hammond. Hammond is, unironically, I know people from Hammond. I think that's the best way to describe the Chicagoland area. I know people from Arlington Heights too, but I went to school right by White Sox Park. That's 35th Street. It has a CTA stop that's proper south side of the city. That's kind of where the dailies are from, for my Chicago history nerds. So you have mayors from there. This is proper Chicago. Yeah, I would know people who would come from Hammond, Indiana, like a Hegwich, Illinois, which is right on the side there, and just drive and go and do it. So this is, I don't want to say Chicago proper. This has Chicagoland vibes areas. If we're doing like TV markets for just, that's my job. Hammond gets the WGNs of the world, all of these Chicago things and stuff like that. The biggest thing is it just says, "Welcome to Indiana" when you get in. Really good golf course at Hammond, by the way, which we built right here. Lost Marsh, fantastic golf course. You'll lose a lot of golf balls there. Part of the problem with Hammond, as you were seeing here in this lovely site, do you see all that smoke back there?
Yeah.
Imagine digging around something like that. And imagine what might come up in that soil. I just want to raise that concern. The thing that's so weird about the Bears moving to like in Indiana is it's kind of like a last relic of pro sports teams, especially NFL teams, in terms of being in the city you reside. And this is becoming just more and more common with pro sports in general, right? You can look at San Francisco. That's 40 minutes away from downtown. It's the same thing. The Jets and the Giants play in East Rutherford, New Jersey, right? Like the Soldier Field's kind of the last relic or one of those relics of teams that properly play in the city that they are, right? Will it really matter super long term? No. Like they'll still take the beauty shots of downtown Chicago on the Fox or CBS or NBC broadcast, all those things. They'll still do all the normal stuff. The thing that is very interesting about this is, yes, the Bears keep shooting themselves in their own foot, but every stadium and every team now wants to make stadiums that can host 1 million events. At a certain point, people are going to start realizing if you make these super mega spaces, people are going to have options and they might not come to your space, which then immediately makes this less valuable. Every time we hear about this, I literally have to cover this out on the other side of the state of Missouri with Kansas and the Chiefs. The Chiefs want to build a super stadium, this and that. We can host a Final Four. I've heard everybody who tries to make a stadium talk about the Final Four. There's one Final Four every year.
That's right.
You may get it once a decade, right? It might go to SoFi one year. It might go to Lucas Oil. It might go to State Farm Stadium in Arizona. All these places are made for Final Fours. If you keep making places with that in mind, they're not going to just pick you more. It's not a guarantee because everybody's doing it. They might go to MetLife, right? It's not that I'm saying these people are behind the curve. They have to stick to it. I get it. Soldier Field is on the smallest stadium, if not the smallest stadium in the NFL. It's owned by the city. The Bears want to own this. They want to make revenue from it. That's been kind of the whole goal here. You could do it in Hammond. You could do it in Arlington Heights. But at a certain point, everyone wants to make the same looking thing. And it's just annoying because the Bears are the same symptom of the Kansas City Chiefs being not just – they're probably farther away from downtown Kansas, at least in terms of like cultural setting, than the Bears would be in Hammond. But okay, sure. And they're losing Arrowhead. One of the few unique stadiums left that has history, that has tradition, is built a certain way. That's going away in the hopes that you can maybe get a bigger concert. And the Bears are just another example of this growing idea that if you move somewhere that will let you get the taxes, and that's fine because people realize that these things don't make as much tax revenue as they first thought, and you could build a town around there, Hammond will get a tourism boost. It doesn't mean Hammond's going to become the 6th biggest suburb of Chicago or the 6th biggest populated area of Indiana. They're going to get stuck with a bigger bill, and that's fine. The Bears are going to make a lot of money, and they're going to have a roof. Wherever you put it's fine. The only difference is you can't play You're the Pride and Joy of Illinois and Bear Down anymore. That's about it. If they do this in Arlington Heights, it's the same thing. But this is just a symptom of the trend. The Bears are the widest example. The Bears just feel a little bit different. One, because me and Caleb are Bears fans. Here we are complaining about this. But Soldier Field is one of those few fields that's truly in the heart of the city. There is terrible parking for a reason. It's by the lake. And it was built to be an attraction that fits the city around it, not just to have people park there. And so all those complaints are valid. All those concerns are valid about Soldier Field. They're going to move from there. I get it. But everybody keeps telling you they need to have the super stadium to host events, and then they're not going to get picked for these events because more places are going to give them the option. And the one city they look to, unironically, Indianapolis. You know what Indianapolis did? They built the city around Lucas Oil, and yes, it has everything, all these retractable roofs and all this stuff like that. They also have tunnels connecting to the hotels.
That's very
true. You can't do that in Hammond. You can even make it if you want, but it's not the same as downtown Indy, which still has everything else about downtown Indy. You can still go to St. Elmo by walking. You don't have to pay $18 in tolls, complain about state governments, and then try to park in downtown. But if you keep thinking this way, this is where we're going to get. That's fine. I don't care where the Bears play. I just want the Bears to win. They don't do that enough. That's all I ask for. I don't care where it goes. But all my complaints and concerns to say, playing 18 holes at Lost Marsh and going around and watching the Bears would be fun.
Well, my thing is, if they move to Hammond and they start winning Super Bowls, I would care less. And I think everybody would be the same way. This just shows the dysfunctional communication that was between the Bears, the state of Illinois government, and the city of Chicago government, was based off of trying to get something done. And then that's what forced the hand to go to Indiana. So the talks broke down there, so they forced the hand. Oh, Indiana will give us this. Indiana is more than willing to do anything to bring another NFL team in, and especially to an area like Jerry said. Look at the picture. There's nothing there. Nothing great there. I would make an argument though, Jerry, if they were breathing that stuff in. I mean, it's a gritty team there. Okay.
Yeah, you think that the 49ers have injury problems because of the electromagnetic substation. Imagine the lung poisoning you're going to get from the substacks in the third quarter of a January game. You're going to see the smoke coming out. You're going to think it's because of the cold weather. No, that's just like all the drilling going on, everything else there. Also, it's fun. It catches on fire every once in a while, and it's right around there. Refineries, the Whiting refineries that just sit right up, not too far from where they're trying to build. But again, it doesn't really matter. And this can be a reflection of government dysfunction, team, all this and that, greed. I think that's kind of what this all comes down to. It's like this is a team that's tried to kind of cry poor a little bit too. Like, we don't have the same money as Stan Kroenke and all this and that. We can't just go out and build all this. And then you bought a big old plot of land in Arlington Heights and did nothing, right? Yeah. And it's like one of the reasons, not to tangent this too much, that Kevin Warren's with the Bears right now. So look what he did to the Big Ten. Right, the Big Ten said we need money, we need to be able to compete. They did that. They went out west, got those teams out west. They have the biggest TV revenue deal in college athletics right now. That was negotiated by Kevin Warren. They've been competitive. When we talk about college football, we talk about now kind of the P2 and the rest. That was partially Kevin Warren keeping the Big Ten at that high pedestal. He's doing the same thing with the Bears. His job is to be hated. His job is to be frustrating. His job is to get the best deal for the McCaskies, the Houses, everyone else in that ownership group. Doesn't mean it's going to be liked, but we say all this right now, and in like 3 weeks, Arlington Heights will come with a new deal, or the Illinois government will come with a new deal, and we'll keep doing this. We've been doing this for years. What makes it harder is, I think. Yeah, but the hard part is, for the first time in those 5 years, the Bears are really relevant, not just within the city, but within the NFL zeitgeist. They're not the team that maybe beats the Packers once in a while, stays at the bottom relatively of the North, and can't find a quarterback. You now have a quarterback that Bears fans love. You have a team that makes sense. And now all the same problems are just reeling an ugly head. It's just they've won on Sundays. That's all the difference. But, the Bears could go in the next 5 years and be terrible. The same discussion will happen. But until everyone keeps reminding themselves maybe we don't need the biggest stadium to try to host a Final Four, it's not going to make a difference. Also, you can host the Final Four at United Center. But, okay.
Well, that's a great point too with the events is, Minneapolis hosted one Super Bowl. They'll never get it again. Detroit hosted one Super Bowl. They'll never get it again. I think, Indianapolis gets the Final Four on a regular. I think Detroit gets it in a couple of years, but that's the first time Detroit's had it in 20 years. So yeah, I mean, it's like the All-Star game for baseball. They rotate it to every team gets it. So you get it one in every 30 years. If that's what you want to turn it into, I don't know. I think that their thought process with this is it's Chicago. It's the third biggest city. Look what we can do if we have a dome. To me, it takes away what the Bears are and the advantage that we could have playing wise. They don't care, whatever. But no, it's just an interesting thing to, it's to Jerry's point. It's the same conversations about the Bears, but they've been good. So it heightens it even more. And my thing too, it's like the people of Indiana and the government of Indiana, don't get your hopes up because I do not trust the Bears with any bone in my body.
You see how my heart rate went to 150 plus when we were playing the Packers. We beat them twice. You think they're going to figure out a stadium deal in 3 weeks?
No.
Come on.
It's the Bears. It's the Bears. That's just the way it is. But it'd be very, very interesting to see what happens moving forward. All right, we will end with college basketball as it is March. This is March. Now we are in it. I think we have 1 week of the regular season left and then conference tournament, and then the big tournament starts, the thing that everybody cares about. Jerry, I will turn this over to you. I will play host here. You have one team that you have an injury concern with there on the far left, that being the Michigan Wolverines, but then also you have 3 other teams that you think are rising to the top.
Yeah, see, this is the first time to get peek behind the curtains here as Caleb plays host. This is the first time anybody else has done any paperwork. I think Trevor took notes like the first 2 weeks or something like that. Mm-hmm. This is the first week we decided to take notes, and I decided to take notes, and I sent them to Caleb, and we're making this look cute. So we're in here. We've been here for an hour 15. I'm not going to waste more of your time. Let's quickly get through the 5 headlines that you need to note for college basketball as we get into March officially. Caleb already alluding to that injury. We're talking about Michigan. Michigan dominated this week. Big win in Illinois, in Champaign, but they lost backup guard CJ Casson to a tearing his ACL, right ACL. I think that's a big deal and something I keep in mind of. I don't really think less of Michigan, but one thing that Michigan's been really good with this year is having a lot of depth. Elliot Cadeau has been fantastic. He's really had a renaissance with Michigan. He starts shooting the ball. It's crazy what happens when you hit threes. But now more strain is going to be on him going into a time of year where you really want your depth to come in. But even with that, Michigan's already won the Big Ten. So they can play around a little bit. They can relax a little bit. That just shows you how good they've been, because the Big Ten at the top especially, I think, has been very, very good. The team they lost to, though, in Duke, has been also fantastic. They beat up on –
realize the graphics messed up.
That's fine. I can move through it. This is easy money here because, let me sit here. I have like 2 screens going to go through my notes and try to keep us moving, right? Who else did you throw in here? You threw Gonzaga in. I have problems with Gonzaga. They're not really on the rise. That's fine, though. We'll talk about them in a bit. Let's go through number 3 here. Yeah, Florida. We're talking about teams rising. Florida's won 9 straight. They already have a share of the SEC regular season title. And they beat up on Arkansas, however you say it. Beat them by like 40. That's something to note. John Calipari teams are really good. That Arkansas team not only ranked, but has been a solid team all year. And they're catching their stride. Same with UConn. UConn went into St. John's. They really did it at home and beat them by 30. So you're kind of seeing these teams here outside of Gonzaga on this screen has done a really, really good job of already most of them taking care of their conference titles early in the season, but they're doing it in dominating fashion, which is something I'm keeping an eye on. And it really makes those 1 seeds really easy to talk about, because it's like, okay, look at these top 4 teams that are dominating their conference, winning by 30, and already have these titles figured out. But not everyone's doing well. Some teams are struggling. We'll go back and forth, but let's see where we go next. Caleb, hit me through.
Well, yeah, I mean, so the team that's missing there is, of course, Duke, who they just, killed Notre Dame this week, and then they dominated Virginia. I will say the Duke Notre Dame game, I couldn't watch it. I had to turn it off. It was the most embarrassing thing I think I've ever watched.
The big highlight from that was Micah Shrewsbury tore his Achilles, right?
Yeah. Season from hell continues, he said.
Right on. But, some teams are in hell. Some teams kind of live in purgatory. These teams have been in purgatory, and they're trying to get their way into heaven and really solidify their seats in different ways. We'll start with Caleb's alma mater, Michigan State.
Right.
Breaking a little bit of a curse here, going to Les Lafayette and finally winning there for the first time in over a decade. That's a big win, and they're playing really well. We just watched them here against Indiana in Bloomington. I get this, not the Indiana of past. They had to sacrifice the basketball program for football success. God's got to give up somewhere. He's got to do what you got to do. But it's still hard to play at Assembly Hall, and that team was firing on all cylinders. I am very impressed with the Spartans. This is a team, though, that does what they do every year. They figure it out in March. That's Tom Izzo. Rinse, repeat. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to. A team I did not think would be in this trending up segment is going forward is Texas Tech without star JT Toppin. You remember his brother from years ago at Dayton and also in the NBA. He flies all over the place. Well, his brother tore his ACL. JT Toppin, he did. Texas Tech decided, let's keep winning. 3-0 since that, including a win against Iowa State, who's ranked and has not lost at home this year until Texas Tech showed up to town. That's a team I'm constantly eyeing. Texas Tech every year has put up a really good team, and they are just annoying as hell to play. They've also beat some of the top teams, Duke's one of them. And then I know you're going to go, Jerry, of course Missouri's on this graphic. You got to talk about Missouri. We know. We get it. Be nice to me. I try my best. Mizzou, 6 of 8 in their last couple of games, including a beatdown away from home here against Mississippi State, wins against Vanderbilt, ranked at the time, Tennessee and A&M, who they're fighting off in the bubble. This is a team that lost to Illinois by 42 and lost to Kansas by 20 earlier this year, and is now really starting to play complete basketball and return. I do take note of that Mississippi State win, not because Mississippi State's good. They're below 500. At home, where Mizzou's been better, they only won by like 5 points. They went on the road to Starkville and won by 30. This is an interesting dynamic for a team that I didn't think was really that good and is really trying to find their stride. They are the prime example of trending up. They were a team that was on the bubble. We've talked about a lot of them on the bubble. I've at least seen it way too much on Twitter from all the people I follow. And they're moving out of that spot almost completely with still a couple games to go and the SEC tournament. There is a chance of the double bye for Missouri in the SEC tournament. You would have told me that a couple months ago when I watched them in the Enterprise Center in St. Louis. I would have thought you were lying.
I feel like we have like a John Fanta on right now to talk college basketball.
I'm not as excited as John Fanta. He's one of the best in the business. I respect him so much. So I can't in good conscience even compare myself to John Fanta.
Now we're looking at trending down teams and a team that I added after today.
Some people go up, some people go down. St. John's is a team I have a lot of questions about. And I get it. they're very much like, you want to talk about the roller coaster. We joke around here in St. Louis that we're on a weather roller coaster. Prime example, this Friday was a high of 70 degrees. Today we're getting down below freezing. Very roller coaster-esque. That's kind of what St. John's did earlier this week. They went really hard down. We talked about that UConn game, lost by 30. I get it was at UConn. Boy, that's not a good look. And then they turn around to beat a Villanova team by 30. Now, this Villanova team is not the ones you remember of years past. They still have some issues, but this is not a 500 Villanova team either. So I'm very confused there, but it's not a good look in probably the biggest game of your year, regular season-wise, to play UConn and get absolutely smoked away from home. You got to keep that one close because the Big East this year has some okay teams, but it's not that deep. So you got to – like that's one of those games where you're looking at this could be a seeding change massively because of just how bad that loss was, even though they were away from home. We go to Gonzaga. They are both the cream of the crop and trending down. That's the type of podcast we run around here. Even though with this one is a little finicky in my mind. Even I made the notes. They did their yearly West Coast Conference loss. They've been fine. They lost to St. Mary's at the end of the year, but I kind of have that same gut check feeling about Gonzaga. It's like, they're really good. They played some good teams kind of early in the year when that can mean only so much. And now they're starting to lose, and they lose to a good team and probably the only other team in the West Coast Conference that could do something with them in terms of compete with St. Mary's, and you don't take care of business. So vibes, not great. So we move from there to the conference that has it all going on. It just means more in the SEC. And I mean to say this because I have a question for you too before we get way into the numbers. In your guys' mind, how much does playing a tough schedule mean to you? It's a very open-ended question. Take it where you want. I don't want to talk all day. My voice is
to me, it depends on what you do against everybody else. Like if you have a tough schedule and you kind of struggle, but you destroy everybody else, then I'm like, okay, that's a good team. But if you're just average against everybody, even with a tough schedule, I'm like, meh, you're not a good team.
Well, yeah, this kind of reminds me of the Auburn during the football season, where it's like, yeah, they had a schedule from hell, but they lost a lot of those very close games too. So, it's like, yeah, you had a tough schedule, but I mean, did you really do anything? And that's, losing to teams by 3 points or 2 points or whatever. So I've always been kind of a favor of like keeping, your normal conference schedule and then maybe sprinkling in a couple of heavy hitters in there. But, other than that, trying to make it through the season looking really good. And then those, if you win those heavy hitters, you look great.
No. This back and forth is the same thing that's going on with the NCAA tournament committee right now. That question that I posed to you two is the same that is being faced at this moment. Because Auburn's schedule has had a lot of big names. We're just going to talk about non-conference. The SEC, they already play a bunch of solid teams. We could go through that all day, right? They lost to Houston, got blown out by Michigan. They've beaten St. John's. Their overall record this year, 15-14.
Wow.
But they have some of the most quad one games this year out of anybody in the country. Not helping them right now, just lost to Ole Miss. And that's an under 500 team at Ole Miss. But they are still getting tournament chatter. But that's the team I'm continuing to keep an eye on because – yes, they've played one of these really hard schedules. How much will that help them as they now sit thoroughly on the bubble, according to everybody that's smarter than me? Now, usually when someone plays the host, they're not supposed to, really chime in. Reese Davis is fantastic at this. I'm going to really test Caleb today because Caleb threw on trending down, the one and only Purdue Boilermakers. And I understand the case here, but Caleb, I need you to make the case of why they're trending down today.
I mean, so they've lost last 2 games. I hate Purdue. That has nothing to do with it, but I do hate Purdue. They've lost their last 2 games to Michigan State, and then they lost today by double digits to a team on that bubble that Jerry likes to use there in the Ohio State Buckeyes. And I wasn't the only one that said they were down. I put it on here because Clark Kellogg also said it. That's why I did it.
You always go to the experts, and I respect that. Purdue's a fascinating case to me. I thought they played pretty well against Ohio State. This is one of those fun matchups for me where you have a team in Purdue, which is pretty set straight. They're not going to move that much from here on out, right? Got a couple big games, but even if they flame out, maybe the worst they're going to be is a 4 seed. They're solid. They're in, no concern against an Ohio State team at home that has everything to lose. You win this game, it's huge. It puts you in a chance to be dancing, but you lose it, you're all the way out. So I wonder how much of that plays through. And again, Michigan State's a good team. I feel like Michigan State is really solid. So it's tougher for me to be too hard on Purdue. But I do see the vision, and if there are concerns about Purdue, I'm the first one to call them out with you. So we get it here, we move on. But, we're talking about power teams for the most part. There's one question that happens every year in the NCAA tournament, and everybody talks about it way too much on social media right after Selection Sunday. And that is your mid-major team that's had a very good record, but then still finds a way to not make the tournament. I'll give you a great case. How about Miami, Ohio? Still undefeated as we speak right now. They had a fun one a couple days ago against Western Michigan, which included a speaker falling. Not really falling, but getting pushed down by the head coach of Miami, Ohio. I think it was a 2-point win. Those Broncos just can't make anything easy, right? And then you'll have very smart people. We're talking about Auburn. How about Bruce Pearl, who just gave the job to his son? That's fun. Nepotism. We love that here. He's on TV now talking all these things. And he's like, this team needs to win their conference. They haven't lost a game all year. But if they lose, they shouldn't be in the tournament. That's one of my fun things. And honestly, as much as I hate to admit it, some of his numbers really help. The number of Bruce Pearl and all those people will throw to you is the strength of schedule of Miami, Ohio has right now. They have the strength of schedule 316th out of 365 in the nation right now. But I'm here to tell you that's not really Miami of Ohio's fault. It's not their fault that they play in the MAC and they have a conference affiliation. And it's truly not their fault that they don't get to play anybody in the preseason, because this is the type of team, and they are not the only team that faces this problem, that these types of middle tier, mid-major programs, they don't find good teams to play often because good teams say, we don't want you. A prime example of this, last time Mizzou and SLU have played? I don't. It's been that long. And that's part of the ongoing debate between a lot of these schools. Ohio State has not gotten near Miami of Ohio in the past couple of years. Pick whatever school in the Midwest that could play them right now, they haven't. And that really hurts. This team does not have a quad one game. Is that really of Miami of Ohio's complete fault? Also, no. Because if you lose this game, if you are Auburn on the bubble right now, right, and you have a couple of big games here and there, you're not going to play Miami of Ohio. Or pick whatever mid-major team you want, because if they're on the right year, they have the 29-0 team that's dominating the MAC, and you run into them and lose, you're screwed and they get a big win. So it's a really, really hard spot. I have a simple take, though. We need to appreciate winning. Winning is hard, no matter where you do it or what. This is a tournament with 64 teams. This team hasn't lost a game. I think it's 68 now with the add-ins last four.
Yeah, I think
so. It's completely frustrating to me that there's a true conversation that a team that has not lost a singular game so far this year could be on the bubble or near not making this tournament if they lose one or two. I get it. They don't have the toughest schedule in the nation. That's fine. They haven't lost. And it's hard to do that at any level of the sport, especially at the highest level, even if they're not playing the hardest teams. And again, when the big teams like to duck, this puts the same question to us every year. So this might be the most extreme example. It also might not matter because Miami of Ohio could just win the MAC tournament and we won't talk about it. And I kind of hope that's the case because it's going to be a stupid argument if it's not.
Well, I have a couple questions. So you said that they're ranked in the AP, right?
Yes. Or they were at least for a while. I think they still are.
So they're ranked in the AP. That doesn't matter when it comes to seeding for the tournament?
Only so much. The committee doesn't do that much in terms of the AP poll because, again, that's still all writers and stuff like that. You remember the same way like the AP poll every year for the first couple of weeks of the college football season doesn't mean anything. Then the first college football playoff poll comes out. We kind of have the same thing here at the top 16 teams in terms of the NCAA tournament because the committee is like, here's our top 16 teams. And then everything else kind of falls in line. Okay. Right now, Miami of Ohio, according to ESPN, is the 21 ranked overall team in the country according to the AP poll. But it's not really a stat that plays much weight. And in basketball specifically, you have more data points, which also makes this a more mute point because you have teams that have played now 30-plus games or near that, where in college football you have like 12, right, for a regular season. So you have more chances to try to find those in-betweens, common opponents, the quad system of 1, 2, 3, 4. Like you have all these different and more numbers that mean more because they've played more games. So the AP poll could maybe, you know what it means? It means they're getting national coverage. It means we're talking about them on this podcast. That's kind of what this does more than anything.
Okay, so what's the difference in them and like Wichita State years ago? Or like even Gonzaga? Gonzaga's, mid-major.
One thing Gonzaga has done, and Gonzaga has done throughout the years, is they've continued the success. I think Gonzaga is not a fair comparison because they now are able to get those big games because people don't see a loss to Gonzaga as a devastating loss. People at times in peak Wichita State, and again, Wichita State and a lot of the other teams you want to kind of pick for this kind of like flyer are like 2 to 3 years, right? Remember those Loyola Chicago teams with Sister Jean? That was a couple years, and then that coach moves on to a bigger job and kind of does, right? So that's kind of the same thing. Wichita State was the same way. Butler is the same way. That you kind of, and that kind of team is dying with the transfer portal. You don't have these super senior teams that have all been together, and this is their one super run, their final moment. They've dominated their conference. This coach has been building this program. A lot of those kids get picked by the Power 5 teams or picked by a bigger program. So this kind of has died out over time, which also makes Miami of Ohio such a fun team to root for if you like the underdog. Because even again, I'm looking at the schedule right now. Boy, are there some names I have never seen. Like I know Old Dominion. That tells you something. I think there's Eastern Carolina here. There's Wright State, Ball State. When we get into conference play, but some of their non-conference. Let's look here. Can I even click? Maryhurst Lakers is one of their non-conference teams.
That's like one of those teams that like, the Notre Dame football played this team 112 years ago.
The worst one is we have one of the rare things I even see on ESPN, and I'm not like an ESPN superhead. You have a team that you can't even click on in this roster. You have not just one, you have two of them. So I can't even find an ESPN profile about
what's the name of the schools?
I have IUE. Couldn't tell you what that is. Might be Indiana University, Edwardsville. Then you have, to quote Lil Wayne, Millie, Milli, because I'm looking at like the abbreviated schedule.
Milli College. So IUE is Indiana University East.
Damn, that was so close. So close.
Public regional campus of Indiana University in Richmond, Indiana. Eastern Indiana, Western Ohio. The Milli I've looked up, it says it's an all-girls college, but I don't think that's true. That's in India, so that's not a thing. So maybe, dude, did they play girls in India? They're not. Don't let them in.
It's hard to schedule for your mid-majors.
I think we just figured it out. That's why Bruce Pearl's saying they're not going to get in.
Even better is I looked up the same thing. I looked up Miami, Ohio to try to see if I could find like the game. And I just got Millie West, the College Arts and Science 25 graduate from Miami, Ohio. Good for her. I
will say, so you said that Joe Lunardi has them as an 11th seed. Please keep them as low seed as possible because that's the team I'm making to go on a little run here in March.
I understand the bracket pool makes a bag, game recognizes game. So I can't tell you that that's not a good thing, but I do worry about it. The fact if they stumble, that's kind of the concern here now is how cruel the resume can be. And in return, there's some teams here that have way harder schedules, but have not won like that.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord. I looked this up here. Okay. We found them. It is the Milligan Buffs. This is the team that is here. I'm trying to figure out where I've been able to click. I went to the official website. Okay, we're going to about athletic news. Come on, help me here. Help me, God. Let's go to the bottom of the page. All right, they're in Milligan, Tennessee. That's the official. What was even worse, this is real bad, is usually when you go to the official team websites, you get a picture of like the university, it says the name of the school. So Wright State, they have the logo of Wright State, and it was where the game was at. That game was in Dayton, Ohio. When I looked here for Milligan, it's a picture of a swimmer. So that's something. And there could just be like some deep beam here that I've just now stumbled on. But this is what gets the Bruce Pearls of the world.
It also gets him irritated because, you have a team that he used to coach and his son coaches in Auburn that is 15-14 fighting for a spot in the tournament. And Auburn is probably, as of right now, probably out because of a team like Miami, Ohio, if they lose, say, in the MAC championship tournament.
Well, like there's teams and this is an SEC question. This is also like a Big 12. The Big 12 has been very good this year. We can go on that for all day, right? If you're like a TCU that's kind of fought in and out of the edges here, and you see Miami of Ohio sneak in, you're going to be annoyed. Part of the thing about the NCAA basketball tournament specifically, and I even think this way a lot about the college football playoff. If you're on the outside looking in, you've had plenty of chances to make this better.
I agree.
That's what makes it harder for
in front of you. Beat the teams in front of you. It's what Miami Ohio is doing.
Dude, especially basketball. We're talking about 30-plus games or around that territory. I understand the fringe argument for college football. I don't agree with it. I understand it. It's really tough for me. Like, you want to talk about Auburn? We talked about them earlier, a team that's trending down. How about you beat Houston? If you really like that, beat Houston. You know what? Okay, you can lose to Houston. You can lose to Michigan. Two very, very good teams, top of their conferences respectively. Play better in SEC play. Like, there's so many opportunities, and this is why I say we need to appreciate winning. Because what has Miami of Ohio done? They have won. Is every game going to be a blowout? No. Even the team that was doing that earlier this year in Michigan has lost games, right? And has had close games. You're not going to beat every team by 30. And maybe they're not the 68th best team in the country. But golly, have they done everything they can to try to prove they are.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this a lot harder. But, my hope is that this is a team that continues to go undefeated. It's a fantastic story. Gets a lot of media coverage. The cradle of coaches is now a basketball school. Did you expect that? No, I didn't either. But the Miami of Ohio lore continues. I do appreciate this, but man, I really do not hope. I really hope they don't lose. I don't really want to have this discussion 2 weeks from now around Selection Sunday, and I have to either justify or try to talk about why Miami of Ohio is not here. Because that feels like a very, very unfair thing, unless they completely bottom out. And I can see that a little bit more. But again, they keep winning. Winning is hard to do.
Yeah. I mean, look, you got to beat the teams that are in front of you. What makes a bad team good? Auburn's point, win those games. And you're a bad team. You're not even good because you couldn't win some of those games. No, that's a great breakdown, Jerry. I mean, that's fantastic. Yeah. That was awesome. I felt like I know everything in college basketball now. Is what I feel.
It was about the same amount of time as Trevor's tummy troubles.
Yeah.
That was my goal. We didn't want to make this that long because, again, we're now on for 90.
No, look, today was a fun show. It's a good show. Next week's show will be our 1-year anniversary show.
Oh, wow. That is awesome.
Still no pay from this.
No, you don't.
That's all right, though.
I'm taking notes now.
We've grown. We've brought excitement to the people. We talk about stuff that others will not talk about.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do. We give
IBS awareness.
Yeah, IBS awareness. Should hoops be lowered for women? That's just what we do. People can't say we don't talk women's sports. We talked about it for the first 15 minutes of this show. We actually led with it. Others don't. We do. And yeah, I mean, look, we break down, we get down to the stuff that nobody else wants to bring up because they're scared to bring it up. They're scared to maybe make somebody mad. That's not us.
Well, John just brought up a good point, and so what are we gonna? Are we gonna do like a special episode?
I mean, we can. I don't know what.
We'll have to
figure something out.
Yeah, I think we should do something. If you would have told me, a year ago that we'd still be doing this and having fun doing it, I wouldn't have believed you. But honestly, we're having the time of our lives.
First podcast is about this long too. Isn't that crazy?
We had no idea what we were doing. I can go through notes and see what I have and maybe see if I can find some wacky takes or something that we said or did something like that.
Oh, no.
I can do that. I'll go back and watch the first show and see kind of what was said.
John just said I have to eat a garlic clove. Yeah. I will actually die. That will kill me.
You may. You never know.
So, Jonathan, you're the one who tries to torture us for doing this thing we like.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's because I tortured him one time because he sucked at picking college football bowl games, and he had to eat the
maybe we can have an episode where we have like all the people who have been on the show.
Yeah, we can do a little round table.
My Wi-Fi is going to die. Oh, that's gonna be great.
I know we can bring on the cast of characters.
Maybe we can bring like John and Nolan and Luke and Riley.
yeah, we can bring them all together. That's actually we could actually do that. We could make it like a 12-person Zoom.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. That'd be fun.
A quarterly conference call where you sit there with your numbers.
No, it's a great point. I like that idea. No, we'll figure out what to do.
We should just replay the draft show.
I mean,
just stream the whole thing.
4 hours.
Oh my god, dude, that was crazy. That was fun though. I had a good time. I laid in bed for that one.
It was a good time. It was always fun. That's what we do. Like I said, we do stuff that others will not dare to do. That's
right.
just who we are. Love of the game, heart. We're gritty. We're the Miami, Ohio of sports talk.
That's right. I think if we could get everyone to get on the show, and then maybe if we could get some clips, like a super cut of just some of the funny stuff.
Yeah, I can try that. Go play.
And then we can put that up on like TikTok and YouTube
Yeah,
Shorts.
I'm gonna do that. Yeah.
Caleb's internet trying to host 12 people and play that video.
I think it's fantastic. That's the part of the show that makes it great.
It's gonna be.
That'll be fun though. I think that'll be fun.
That's
no one said love that idea. Caleb's got to have shit service too. Of course.
Yeah, it's the only way it works. Yeah.
I need Caleb outside. The outside Caleb shows. There you go.
I could do that. I mean, this is no, we'll figure it out. It'll be fun. We will.
This is so real, man.
It's just crazy to think. It feels much longer than a year, I will say. For some reason, to me, it does.
And also kind of shorter too. I don't know. It's a little bit of both for me.
It is weird. It's like it's hard to remember. Like, oh, when did we start that? Oh, yeah, okay, that's no.
I mean, how do we know that World War III is going to start if Trevor's stomach didn't start popping off? He told us on this podcast. We have government secret information here.
Yeah, we know everything what's going on inside. That is.
I'm like Oracle, but it's my butt and stomach.
Clip that.
Yeah, it's actually really good. He's an Oracle. I like that.
You want a clip? You want a clip, Caleb? Here you go.
Yeah, we may start doing introductions like basketball players, and that's what's going to be played with Trevor.
Yeah, there you go.
What a mess. But we'll figure it out. But next week is that. So we'll be back for that. We'll talk about, I think, NFL free agency is slowly starting. I think next week that starts sometime soon. Now it's the draft. Look, the NFL doesn't die; it just continues on. College basketball will get starting to go into conference tournament play, and we'll figure out what else to talk about. We'll find something to talk about. That's what we
always do.
We always do, and I like the idea of bringing on cast of characters and having them talk and be a part of it.
Yeah.
When we look back, but so we'll be back next Sunday to break down the world of sports and everything in between. And as always, thanks for watching.
Peace.